All right, fourth hour, 6B. First things first, what we need to do is simplify what is underneath our two radicals, or our three radicals, excuse me, of 50b to the sixth, 8a squared, and then 98. So in doing that, the 3a, nothing's going to change. The 50 becomes square root of 25 times the square root of 2. And then if I have, since it's squared, I have 6 b's. So how many groups of 2 do I have? 3. So times b to the third. Now, what's going to happen with this square root of 25? What's it going to become? 5, so I have 3a times 5 times the square root of 2 times b to the third. So I'm going to go ahead and put everything that's outside together. So 3 times 5 is 15a b to the third. So now let's do the middle one. I have b to the third. What can I break up the 8 into? Square root of 4, square root of 2. I have 2 a's. So how many groups of 2 do I have? One group of 2. So just a to the first power. So I have, what's the square root of 4? 2. So I have b to the third times 2 times a times the square root of 2. So let's rearrange these so it's a plus in front. So I have 2a b to the third times the square root of 2. Oh, I forgot the square root of 3 or the square root of 2 on the green one. My fault. There we go. And then what can how does the 98 simplify? What's a perfect square that I can divide that by? 49. So 49 and 2. So 5a times 7, or negative 5a times 7 times the square root of 2. So negative 35a square root of 2. Now, of the 3, only 2 of them can be combined. Okay? Only the green one and the blue one can be combined because the orange one doesn't have a b to the third with it. So the minus 35a times the square root of 2 is just going to be by itself. I can, however, combine these two because everything's the same. A's match up, b to the thirds match up, and square root of 2's match up. So what's 15 plus 2? 17. So 17a b to the third times the square root of 2. So there is my answer. All right, 24b. So summation notation. So the crooked E. I don't care what letter you use. Let's just go n equals 1. How many terms am I going to add up? 5. So the 5 goes right there. Now it just becomes writing the rule. So you can either use your formula for the rule, what are we doing each time? What are we doing to go from 3 to 6? Multiplying by 2. So is it geometric or arithmetic? Geometric. So if it's geometric, remember my rule is just a sub 1 times r to the n minus 1 power. So what's my rate or my ratio? What are we multiplying by each time? 2. What's my first term? 3. So 3 times 2 to the n minus 1 power. All right, so 15 says consider the rational function of f of x equals 2 over x in its graph. What's going to happen is you're going to have a graph of something like this already. Okay? So, and basically it's just going to be as simple as what's the value of f of 0. So what happens when we plug 0 in for x? Well, it's not 0.
Divide by 0.
It's an error, right? Okay? It's not possible or no solution because you can't divide by 0. So what happens? It's no solution or it's not possible, however you want to look at it. Now, all your asymptotes are basically what can x not be? So then what's your asymptote is 0, like that's what it can't be, because an asymptote is where your graph cannot lie. Well, it can't lie on 0. So then what's the domain? All real numbers but, so everything but 0. No, because that's where, like, this is actually, like, where, like, if I would graph this, like, if I would have, like, what you'll have is the graph of this. So if it looks something like this, and then basically you're going to have, like, it's going to look something like this, and like that. So your asymptote is the x equal to 0, but that's everything that x can't be. Okay? It can be everything but that 0. Your asymptote is just that dashed line that creates kind of your wall that it never can cross over. All right, so with 19a, for us to add or subtract, we have to have a common denominator. Right, so let's figure out what our denominator is. Nothing can, it's just z plus 2 on the one on the left. The one on the right is actually z plus 2, z minus 2. So what is missing from the first fraction, or the fraction on the left? Z minus 2. So I have to multiply the top and the bottom by z minus 2. So in doing that, if I go ahead and multiply here, I'm just going to write it as one big fraction. So before I do that, what can z not be? What are the two values? Yeah, plus or minus 2, because if we set that equal to 0 and that one equal to 0. So right now my restrictions are plus or minus 2. So then the bottom side, I only have to write this once, is z minus 2 and z plus 2. So if I distribute that 3, I have 3z minus 6. And then minus 5. So if I simplify it, I'm going to have 3z minus 11 over z minus 2, whoop, and z plus 2. Don't forget the restrictions that z cannot be equal to plus or minus 2.